Saturn in the first house. This particular native is very practical because Saturn is karma. Karma works on basic principles of life. It's not a daydreaming energy sort of a person. So the person with Saturn in first house has a lot of um, understanding about how to get the work done, how to operate and reach to something's full potential. Because in the Kal Purush Kundli again, it's originally the house of the 10th house. It's originally the lord of the 10th and 11th. So 10th being its Capricorn sign and 11th being its Aquarius sign. And because Aquarius is an energy that is really eccentric, it's difficult for people to understand usually. And that eccentric part of Aquarius people, it usually comes from their way of thinking. So the 10th energy of Capricorn sign is an energy of an opportunist, because what you do, when you are seeking a job, when you are trying to do something in your life, you're trying to fulfill your karmas, you are being an opportunist. You know, somewhere or the other, this akashic memory that we have, this Agni Chakra, we know that this thing that we did this, we did that, and I have to do this, I have to repay this. So Saturn is very practical that way. And when the 10th and 11th lord energies are going in the first house, it's making the person extremely practical. And Saturn first house person can actually help others get some employment as well. I actually know someone, he's my neighbor, and he's been like helping me with some stuff so that I can maybe get a better status quo, or maybe get more income out of the business that I'm doing, which is not astrology. So Saturn is exactly that energy that my neighbor has. These people are so practical that they know how to do a certain work, how to get it done, and then how they can get others also done. Whenever Saturn goes into the first house, usually the person doesn't listen to others that easily. There's a sense of stubbornness, and that comes because whenever we see the energies of the 10th house, it's like this person is doing a very laborious task. Just like you can see any labor when they're maybe doing some sort of construction. Let's talk about people who are working for constructors, and these people, like if you may be able to hear me, just next to my house there's some work going on, and there are all these laborers. So they're working laboriously 8 hours a day to construct this building. Similarly is the energy of this the Saturn first house person. They are very, very, very involved into something. That's why they don't listen that easily to other people. Now, if you have anybody with such placement, please try to understand that where they are coming from. Now, of course, I'm saying this thing, and I've said it again, that if Saturn is in Aries, which is its debilitated sign, the flavor will change. If it's retrograde, if it's sitting with some other planet, if it's your Atma Karak or not, a lot of things will change the flavor. I'm doing a very generic analysis and giving you observations for it. Saturn having its third aspect, 7th and 10th, makes you work hard in all these areas of life. You need to work on communication. You also need to work on building your status quo. It's one of the karmas that have become pending and is impacting you now. Even if Saturn, it sits anywhere in your chart and it aspects your lagna, it makes you, the Vayu Tattva increases. So when this windy quotient increases in the person has gas, bloating. Anything that leads to gas, I mean to say. I don't mean to say bloating, but anything that leads to the Vat increasing in the person. Which is why now Saturn people, when they are in the Lagna, like in some cases I told you, the Jupiter person will be having this long stature. Similarly, this Saturn person will be having a long stature. And what is the reason for this? Because 10th house is peak, it's mountains, it's height. These people have it in their physical appearance. Saturn is long. The life of such natives generally become very dragged. It is slowing all the areas of life, except for your third aspect of Saturn. Everything else, it is delaying. It is delaying the marriage. Saturn being the natural malefic that it is, that means it's going to provide negative results. But providing negative results because it has to do something good to you. It has to change you, make you evolve into a better person. That is why this Saturn in the first house person get into some sort of conflicts with their business partners, with their life partner. There are often breaks that a person has to take with such in this area of life. These are the kind of people who say that I need a break. They are, again, we have all the planets, so this is not the Mercurian energy, this is not the Venusian energy, this is the practical energy of a person. When they need a break, you need to give them a break. But in many of the cases, I have also seen they just need a break. They're not necessarily cold with their business partners or partners. Rahu Ketu in the Lagna. I'll start with Ketu first. Ketu is everything that doesn't have logic. Like the video that I'm making now doesn't have any logic, because nowhere astrology has been proved physically. If I have to like explain that to you, but it has been proved in a certain way that there is something called as metaphysics. It exists. Now there is no physical form of it, but it exists and its physical applications exists. Just like some physical applications of metaphysics like quantum and all of it. Ketu being in the first house makes a person all about intuition, because you cannot see it but you can feel it in your gut. Ketu in the first house makes a person feel isolated, not from themselves necessarily, but from the world around them. Because if the first house is how people are perceiving you, then it's also the house how you are perceiving people, because it's the first house, so it's like the brain part region and the physical stature that we have, physique. And this Ketu in first house person is definitely going to go into zones of detachment from one time to another. And uh, because Ketu Rahu doesn't have their own zodiac signs, but they behave like planets. Like for example, Rahu behaves like the Aquarius, Saturn, and Ketu behaves like Mars. So when Ketu is behaving like Mars, Ketu in first house doesn't mean that these people are all very lovey-dovey, very simple, very sweet-loving people, also spiritual. They have anger in them that may be hidden, because again, you are not able to see this energy, but it's there. And Ketu has its 5th, 7th, and 9th aspects on these particular 5th, 7th, and 9th house. If it's sitting in the first, so it will again impact these areas of life. And whenever Ketu is looking at the 10th, whenever Ketu is looking at the 7th house, Rahu is already there. So naturally, Rahu is coming in the 7th and confusing people. Rahu is confusing these people in selection of good business partners and in choosing the right candidate for as their life partner as well. Because Ketu and Rahu are confused energies, they are essentially the very holding all the conscious energy, subconscious energy of us. So these planets confuse the person. Often Rahu in the first, Ketu in the 7th, and Ketu in the first, Rahu in the 7th. These people tend to choose the wrong partners or get into partners that are not good for them. And sometimes they also fulfill the role for other people in the same way, that they are not good for them, because again, it's vice versa. You're choosing people that you don't know they are not for you. So Ketu in first house, if you are listening to me, you need to work on your intuition because it's already there. You know about it. You need to go slow and you need to think multiple times, need to do a lot of reflection. So Ketu in first house, you'll often need isolation time. It's actually good, it's not a bad thing because you need to process things. You need to understand, do a lot of reflection, introspection. So you need that time alone. It's not bad for you. As well as talking about career choices, I have often seen this thing that people in with such placement often get into occult. They do naturally good at occult, but it's not always the case necessarily. But they always have a knack for it. They keep studying about certain mysteries of life, and letting go becomes a major theme for them. Just like any other person who has a prominent Ketu in their birth chart. Ketu aspecting the seventh is not bad. But Ketu, if we can understand it from the energy of what it denotes, it's a past life issue versus Rahu is the pending karma. So I'll come to Rahu. When we begin to understand past life issues, I have seen people with Ketu in first house, they themselves were their own issue in the past life. And that's why they need so much of time alone. They need time for introspection and all of it. This is the reason. But because you were a past life issue, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that is wrong. It just means that you are here to be your friend first. Understand yourself better. Because when you will understand yourself better, the aspects on, because fifth house is the punya bhav, that means good deeds. And it's not representing the good deeds of this life, by the way. It's representing what we have done before. That's why often fifth house predictions come out to be wrong. So when Ketu is aspecting the fifth house, it's kind of sort of like spotting light on this fifth house and demanding you to work over your intelligence, to work on your soul, because fifth house is exactly that. And once it's in a good position, then we are able to create better. We are better freelancers because we can manage ourselves. We are better creators. And that's why even procreation takes place. That is giving life to babies. And all the illusions that you had about yourself that comes from past life and the illusions that you have about the world start to wipe away because the ninth aspect is on higher education and higher learning. So you begin to understand about yourself and about the world in a much better way because all those delusional energy starts to get away, which is very good. So that's how you understand yourself. And then Rahu, lastly, finally, Rahu comes in the first house. Rahu is fraud. As simple as that. Now you may say that why is it that Rahu is fraud? And why are you saying that? See, Rahu is the king, the champion of all the evils, demons. He's the bad boy. So Rahu being the bad boy is going to behave like a bad boy, right? It's not going to be in favor of anyone. But that being said, that doesn't mean that this malefic energy is malefic energy evergreen. It's not always the case. But Rahu being in the Lagna really intensifies and brings this sense of trickery or illusion in your personality, if I have to use a different word, because fraud is, of course, derogatory. And if you have this placement, then you may have, unsubscribed me or something. But no, I'm just kidding. Rahu is illusion, that's all. So when Rahu is illusion, it's going to give out illusions and it's going to be in a very illusionary world. It's in its own mind, Maya. Rahu always wants to be the hero for other people because Rahu has its own agendas and Rahu always has its own plan as an energy within us, which is good because Rahu is pending karma. And now I'll spotlight on how it's a very positive energy for us. as well. So you are your pending karma essentially. You Ketu going in the seventh house, you've done a lot for business partners, you've done a lot for your life partner. And that is something that you hold mastery over, and you know that I've done this. That's why you naturally get detached from partners, be it your business partners or life partners. As I've told you that seventh house is the house of sexual energy that wants to get out. Rahu being in the seventh, if you're Ketu in first, you have these illusions about this type of energy. But with Ketu going in the seventh house, you have your mastery over it. So you are very good in bed, and that way it can be said about you, especially if there are certain placements or whichever zodiac sign it's falling into. But that's about Ketu. But this Ketu Rahu is essentially linked because Rahu is the head and Ketu is the body. So we cannot deny the fact that when Rahu is there, what is the body doing? Any portion that is below the head, what's happening to that? Because Rahu is just the head and it's in the Lagna. There's a lot of body energy because Ketu is like Mars. So this Ketu in the seventh house is going out and behaving like Mars. You need to calm down this energy often. With Rahu being in the first, these people are not able to get away from any sort of Maya of this world. They get trapped into it. They're able to see things that they sometimes feel like they have to see, but it's not necessarily there. And because Rahu is the pending karma, they're always manifesting something in their life. With Rahu in first house, they're always on the manifestation mode. These are the kind of people who believe in manifestation, dream catchers. And because Rahu is foreign energy, so these people are also all about they are always attracted to foreigners or people from different cultures and land more than they get attracted to their own culture and all of it. And why I say that Rahu is trickery and it's fraud is because Rahu is lies. Wherever Rahu sits, even if it's sitting in your first house, you lie a lot. You probably are doing this for the greater good. So no need to I am not saying all of this in any way because I am judging you. It's just the truth of life. And that is good actually. You need to do it because Ketu in the seventh, people have often used you. You're done with people. You've been a people-oriented seventh house person in your past life. So now you're all about yourself. You're a bit self-obsessed, and you yourself are attracted to some occult side of life. But you also have a tendency, because there's a lot of confusion with Rahu Ketu being in the first and seventh house axis. So you get attracted to people that may not be good for you, and it's vice versa. They're also the people that you're getting attracted to, they know that you are not definitely good for them. Long distance relationships are often a theme for people with Rahu Ketu in the first seventh house axis. This can be easily identified. You just ask and they'll tell you that yes, I'm a text person. Yes, I'm a person who's on call, because Rahu is technology. So I've been in a relationship wherein there was a physical distance, because first is you and seventh is your partner. So distance gets created. That includes any house Rahu Ketu sits. If it's in conjunction with planets of love like Venus, then it happens. Or if Rahu Ketu sits in conjunction with the seventh lord, fifth lord, then also I have again seen long distance relationships. Rahu aspecting the fifth, seventh, and ninth. So I'll leave the seventh one, but because I've talked about it. But the fifth and ninth aspect here, you're manifesting children, you're manifesting romantic relationships, you're manifesting creativity, and you're also manifesting higher knowledge for yourself. But when you try to do that, there are a lot of troubles that come in the way. That's why this is pending karma planet, and this is not the planet that you hold mastery over, but you are doing it every minute and every second of your lifetime, of your life, in this particular life. In hindsight, a better way to understand Rahu's malefic energy is to understand it from the mythological stories that are available, that tells you that Rahu is indeed a demon. It's the evil spirit in all of us, and it's awakened all the time. However, an innocent way to understand Rahu, because after the observations that I've also come to understand that because this person Rahu in Lagna doesn't know himself, since Rahu represent all the areas that are unknown, territories unexplored, hence makes it difficult for this particular native to represent himself or herself in a better fashion because he doesn't know. So, with that being said, I have covered all the planets that sit in the first house. What are the kind of karmic patterns they indicate? And if you have a family member, friend, business partner, anybody for that matter, even yourself, and you wish to understand yourself in much depth, then I hope you have found some sort of insights from this video. I hope this helps you in your journey of understanding the self and world around you. With this, I'll say bye to all of you now, and I'll meet you all soon. Stay tuned for the next video and subscribe to my channel. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up, because that will tell me that the knowledge was indeed worthwhile. Take care.